So the question is, what does selling lipstick and cologne have in common with environmental and green technologies? A lot more than not. In the case of global warming, we're using an existing crisis and we're using it to sell products. But it's really important that we have to use our marketing principles to sell the whole concept. Now, is there global warming or not? It's a very complicated issue. Information indicates that the probability of there being global warming is 85%. But let me tell you something that is 100% probability, is that we're going to make money off of it. That is a certainty. So the studies need to stay on message. Now, a lot of the technologies that are being deployed make sense, and a lot of them really don't make sense. But they're all going to make money. The idea is to keep it very, very simple. We're not going to address the complicated issues of the technologies, what works, what doesn't, is there not global warming. In the press, we got to keep it very, very simple. The idea is people are jumping on this bandwagon. So important tactics are use classic marketing and advertising, stay on message, lobby for regulation so we know where to invest our money, invest in patents and intellectual property, and here's the key important one. Do not measure the results. Focus on the amount of money that's spent, laboratory results, and sexy technologies. Keep the engineers, again, out and scientists out of management. We don't want to know whether or not these technologies actually are saving the environment and reducing carbon emissions and that kind of thing. Let's keep it very, very simple. And anybody who criticizes it loses the moral high ground. You don't care about the environment. You're asking too many questions. And the irony is the opposite is actually true. But we here as orchestrators, we can't be in denial. We can't drink our own Kool-Aid. We have to be very clear which technologies make sense and which don't. We're going to market both of them. But we have to manage our risk. We have to claim we didn't know on some of the other technologies. So let me give you some examples of areas where we need to be very careful. There's a lot of technologies that require the power grid. Now in the United States, 85% of our power comes from coal, from fossil fuels. Where in France and Switzerland, it's almost zero. It's mostly nuclear and hydroelectric. So anything that involves the electric grid makes sense in France and in Switzerland, but does not make sense in the United States. Again, too complicated to put into the press. So for example, electric buses are terrible for the environment, but they have the illusion of being good for the environment. Same with electric cars. Hydrogen fuel cells are really, really good technology because they don't compete with oil, but they create the illusion of saving the environment. Great opportunity, a lot of funding in them. It actually requires a lot of energy to get the hydrogen out of water. And so they have a net negative return on investment. And so the idea there is that these are desired technologies because they appear to be clean. Ethanol is another good example. Is that ethanol requires energy to process it. It's actually bad for the environment. It raises the carbon footprint. It has an impact on the food supply. But the bottom line is, we get votes from it. Senators in the Midwest wanted ethanol. The electorate wanted ethanol. There was no way we were going to describe this complicated scenario. We created the illusion of doing something and we made money at it. Another example is hybrid technologies. What about the lead batteries? What about the strip mining? Keep that out of the press. Any of that information, don't even look at it. Because the idea here is that you want to use plausible deniability to get that upside without the downside. And so people wonder, does this make sense? Well, it makes a lot of sense because we are saving the environment. Some of the technologies don't work. It's incredibly inefficient. But what's the alternative? The alternative is to take all of these complicated issues, try to address them in a public forum, and then nothing will get done.